Alright, so today's focus is all about recovery and make sure I'm 100% prepared for my game tomorrow. So I'm just going through, again, a general conditioning session, and I'm not in my usual place today. So as you can see, I usually go on the bike to start with, but to get the blood flow going, I'm just doing some skipping for about 2 minutes. Now I'm just going to do a quick time lapse of what I usually do for my general conditioning. If you want to see an in-depth analysis of how I foam roll and how I stretch, I'll leave a link in the top right corner so you can do that. However, today's focus of the session is complete mobility, especially in that hip and groin region, as it has been feeling pretty tight due to demands of team training over the past 2 or 3 sessions. Now this first mobility exercise incorporates bow extension. Now this looks like it doesn't incorporate any hip movement whatsoever, but it's really incorporating some hamstring activation which directly correlates with the hip flexors. So just complete 10 repetitions for this mobility exercise. Now this next one is a hip and groin activation exercise. You guys seen this plenty of times before in my general conditioning sessions. I'm really just focusing on opening that groin up and hip region. Again, just performing 10 repetitions. Now this third mobility exercise is what's known as hip flexion raises. Now you can see I'm holding one of the mobility poles behind my back just to really force my core, my spine and my internal body to stay aligned and stabilized as I really focus on isolating that hip flexor region over that small rubber rectangle. Now I'm just completing 8 repetitions for each leg. Now this next mobility exercise is a hip rotation, and this really put into question that maybe I really do need to focus on that hip region, because I've never really isolated and activated these areas of my body before. So you can see I'm really tight. I think being able to have that mobility on the pitch can really bring together and accentuate your other attributes such as your pace, your agility, your footwork. I feel these indirect exercises can definitely help and complement the more important technical and physical attributes. So yeah guys, I definitely recommend trying this mobility exercise out. You'll definitely feel that range of motion open up straight after the session. You definitely feel really mobile. So just complete 8 repetitions for that hip rotation. Now moving on to the internal rotation. So this is more working again on that hip flexor region, but more of your core and your obliques as well. As you can see, all I'm doing is rotating that upper body, letting that do the work, and it'll just help focus on that range of motion naturally on that lower body region. Again, just completing 10 repetitions. Now the next mobility exercises are knee hinges, and this one really killed actually. And again, just reinforced the fact that I really need to focus on that mobility in my hip region. Now see, the knee in focus is supposed to touch the ground, and that just again reinforced the fact that I really need to focus on my flexibility and mobility in that hip region, because it definitely starts to hurt as I head my kneecap into the ground. So I'll definitely be adding this mobility exercise into future general conditioning sessions. And again, just 10 repetitions for the knee hinges. And then finally, moving on to the last mobility exercise, we're doing some kinetic stretching for the lower body. Now at this particular exercise, I'm looking to stabilize my core while also maintaining a full range of motion within that hip flexor region. And here I'm just finishing off with 10 repetitions. What's happening guys, welcome back to another episode of the 10,000 Hours Project. I'm currently sitting on 3,645 hours on a Friday morning. I just had team training last night with Cairns FC, and this week's training's been really tough. We had a tough conditioning session on the Tuesday night. We did what was called a level 3 little fitness core session. It included a lot of engagement in my hips and core region, and that's where I recently had my surgery about 6-7 months ago. So that hip region's just tightened up after that Tuesday session, and then after that core workout we went and did conditioning, so we did full-on sprints as well. All that fun fitness stuff. On the Wednesday I was planning to do a lower body strength session to finish off that maximal strength phase, but there was no chance of me doing that, and with how tight my hips were on that Wednesday morning. Instead I just did another little technical isolation session, really light, nothing strenuous, just worked on my juggling, 1,000 touches drill. It's all about that repetition, that muscle memory. On Thursday, which was last night, we had another team training session, but it was with more of a tactical focus, and even that was a little bit intense. I mean, I did a lot of passing, there's a lot of movement, and especially with that hip region and how I'm feeling at the moment, it was really tight. Especially when you're passing the ball, repetitively. The hip region's definitely tightened up a bit through to this morning. The good news is, as you've just seen, I've just done another general conditioning session with a focus on that hip flexor mobility. I honestly feel so much better after that session. I've never really targeted those specific areas. I really wanted to isolate that hip region where I was feeling that, I guess, not so much pain, but that tightness. After doing those exercises, I definitely feel it's opened up. That's just my first time doing it, so I'm definitely going to be incorporating that within my general conditioning sessions from now on. So I'm going to be isolating the general conditioning sessions to places where I feel tight during the week, so I can head into team training and head into my individual training without much drama with my hips, my joints and muscles and whatnot. Obviously, that's all I'm going to be doing for my training today. I just added the 1 hour from that general conditioning session this morning. I was planning on doing some ball mastery, passing and shooting, but again, that's really activating the hips. And especially if we have a game tomorrow, it's probably not the best idea to have a training session, especially considering I'm not 100% fit at the moment with that hip region. I really want to emphasize on that recovery today, just so I'm prepared for my game tomorrow. I just want to take the time to thank you guys for really helping me out on that last vlog. You know, I was having a bit of trouble, you know, with my individual training, with how I should approach my training for the rest of the season. And I honestly really do appreciate all your help, your tips that you've given, your insights, different perspectives, and I've taken it all in. All those comments are definitely going to be helping me tweak my training program for the rest of the season. This is exactly what the 10,000 Hours Project is supposed to be about, guys. Like, this is all about a development phase, so I don't claim to be an expert. You know, throughout the 10,000 hours, I'm learning just as much as you guys along this project as well. You know, and a few thousand hours down the track, I can look back at this time and say, wow, you know, I've developed so much as a player, not only in my abilities, but with my sense of, that's what I'm looking for, I guess, like sense of maturity with how I approach my training schedules. You know, I guess that training education, individual training education, I'm not quite sure what the word is at the moment. Overall, the comments were absolutely brilliant, guys. I think there's one comment there, or a few comments there actually, that mentioned my nutrition intake and me upping or increasing the calories, and I totally forgot to mention that in the last video. That's probably one of the most important things that I was going to take into consideration. So I'm currently sitting at, I think, 2,750 calories for my daily intake at the moment, but I definitely want to be bumping that up by another 100, 200 calories. I think some of you have mentioned for me to cut out my comets trading completely on the Tuesday and Thursday, and I think I'm going to do that just so that can compensate and that can give me extra time to focus on my individual needs, you know, where I'm lacking in that speed, power, acceleration, agility area. So yeah, it's just all about tweaking certain things here and there, and I think you're always doing that as a player. You're always tweaking, you know, your philosophies and how you approach your trainings. Anyway, so I'm going to cut the vlog off there, guys. We've got a game tomorrow. I find out if I'm in the away day travelling squad down to Brisbane against Redlands United. I find that out tonight, so fingers crossed I get on the team sheet. I can go on another plane trip with the team. Anyway, so I'll see you on the next episode, guys. I'll catch you later.